Stevo's was relatively a normal pregnancy, apart from a chest infection I had and a bad fall that I took one time as I was going to a men's conference where I had been called to speak. And after a few days, he wasn't playing as he should, but then we went for clinic and everything looked normal, even on the ultrasound. And then the delivery was relatively normal until, although it was too fast, and too fast is not good. So when he was born, he did not cry immediately, had to go to the nursery and had to be on oxygen the whole night. We didn't really know that he had a problem. We started being suspicious at around 4 months. That's when we realized he wasn't growing as fast as he should, and there were certain things that his age mates were doing that he could not do: head control, neck control, a certain stiffness of the limbs, and so basically we started suspecting, but it was eventually confirmed when he was 9 months old. That's when we went to see a pediatrician in Nairobi who sent us to a neurosurgeon who sent us for an MRI, which confirmed that his main part of the brain was atrophied. That is just layman language to say that the brain cells were dead. Elvis was looking forward to the arrival of his brother. Elvis is our firstborn, was born okay, and we also have Zawadi, our thirdborn. They are both okay, and so considering that he was a second child, there were many questions, and then looking forward to a sibling arriving, and when at the point where they're supposed to start interacting, he's not growing as well as he should. He's not doing the things that other kids are doing with their siblings, and the questions he's being asked by his playmates. I'm sure it was difficult because we even had to have conversation around it just to assure him and allay any necessary fears. So feeding is a challenge because of that gagging. He would aspirate food into his lungs and get what we call aspiration pneumonia, which resulted to many admissions. So when you pull out a tube and you're feeding him and everybody is staring at you, and you have to do it because it has to be done like every 3 hours. So even if you're in church and it's time to feed, you have to feed. So those stares can be very disturbing and uncomfortable. The aspiration pneumonia would take us to the hospital very frequently. It was more normal to be in the hospital than to be at home because of the aspiration pneumonia, and he's also asthmatic, so he would get the aspiration pneumonia. It would cause asthmatic attacks, and we would end up in hospital. And one particular one that comes to mind is one Sunday we woke up and we were okay, we were getting ready to go to church, and then boom, he has an asthmatic attack, and we go to the hospital and we know what is supposed to be done. But for some reason, the team that was there that morning didn't seem conversant with his management, so we were really delayed in casualty before they could start interventions, and he ended up in ICU. And it makes you so angry because you feel if it had been managed well, maybe you would not have ended up there. But one of the things that has given us peace and assurance is the role that church and our friends from church and family have played in supporting us, because as a family we agreed we were going to raise him as much as a normal child as possible. And so just like we took Elvis to church, we also started taking him with us to church. Of course, he could not go to Sunday school, so we would just go to the main services, and he would really love it. and until at a certain point where the attacks became too many, and we were advised by the doctors not to continue taking him to public places unless we really need to, because he would go and pick something, and then that thing would raise the asthmatic attacks, and then he would end up in ICU, which was not very good for him, and especially for his lungs. So now we have to take turns. One of the biggest challenges is that we have to take turns to stay with him at home on Sundays. And I know for a fact that Steve-O doesn't like that very much, because he loves church, he loves music, he loves the sound of children playing around him, just like any other child would. And so being just at home, you can tell by how he brightens up when children come visiting us in the house, and they're playing around him, and he knows he has company. That's a big one for him. A big event that we remember is when he turned 16, because we requested the church that he would be baptized, because of course he could not go through the catechism class, but that is around the age at which they get baptized, and he was baptized on his birthday, which was a big one, and we had his family come and celebrate with us, which for us was very deliberate, because we want to encourage people who are out there that these children desire a normal life just like any of us do, and it is very good to take them through the same process you take all your other children, so that they don't feel like they are neglected or they are left alone. Another challenge in his journey is finding caretakers, though for us it hasn't been such a big challenge, but the challenge comes in because every time you get a caretaker, you have to train them how to give drugs, how to feed through the tube, how to position him on his wheelchair, on his bed, taking him out for basking in the sun in the morning when the weather allows, when it is not so windy, because again, when it's too windy, he inhales the dust and stimulates an asthmatic attack. So again, that has got to be determined very well. So we prefer that we do it ourselves when we are home, but then you invest so much in the caretaker, and then of course when they are able to do those things, it goes without saying that you need to reward them for the work that they are doing, of taking very good care of him. It's quite costly to take care of them, because like Steve is on Pampers 24/7. His food has got to be blended to go through the tube. You have to make sure that he has balanced diet. He has to feed every 3 hours. There are drugs that he has to take that cost us close to 10,000 shillings every month, for seizures, for muscle relaxants, for asthmatic, for his vitamins and all. And then hospital reviews and physiotherapy sessions. We have to have a physiotherapist come to the house like once a week. But then again, as a family, we are trained on home-based exercises that we do with him, like on a daily basis or every other day. So you also have to teach the caretaker to do that. We have to maintain certain equipment in the house just to make sure that he's well taken care of, especially because of his asthmatic attacks. We have to have a nebulizer in the house, which we use when he has attacks, so that we can avoid going to the hospital as much as possible. And the other big thing is that as parents, you look forward to the day that your child will do the things that other kids do of his age. Like now he just turned 18. You imagine that he would be either going to college or maybe even in his second year of college. We had been told he would not live beyond 7 years. He lived to 14. Now he has just turned 18. he's a living miracle, we can say that. And he makes us desire to go out there and encourage parents who are living with children with cerebral palsy, which is what we see ourselves doing in future. I got into a depression. People look at you out there and they think that you're a very strong person, but the truth is there are many moments of tears, and that was such a particular time. I couldn't eat, I was very unkempt, I couldn't sleep, and then all of a sudden I started stress eating, so I gained a lot of weight, and it was just out of the depression. And I remember my sister Rachel just came and told me, Elizabeth, you are a nurse, and maybe this is the only reason that God allowed you to become a nurse, so that you can take care of this child. Imagine the people who are, the women that are in the villages and in the slums. What can they do? But you know exactly what to do. Rise up and take care of this boy and see what God has to do. And for me, that was a kick in the what, and I just got out of it and decided, you know what, we can do this and we shall do it. One of the things that I have learned through this journey is that people do not have enough information out there. Like I mentioned, the women in the slums and in the villages living with children with CP, they'll be going around in hospitals and trying this and trying the other, not knowing exactly what it is that they are dealing with. And I feel there needs to be much more information than there is out there, and that parents can be told well in advance when their children are diagnosed what they have, what it is that it means, and what they should expect and what they should do, because they keep hopping from hospital to hospital thinking that this is something that can be cured, yet it is something that the child may have to live with for the rest of their lives, and they need to learn that their lives now are going to be cut around that child, and they are going to determine more or less what it is that they are going to be doing on a daily basis. They also lack support for like mobility aids, drugs that they so much need, access to physiotherapy. If organizations would come out and help kids like this, it would be very helpful. Support groups are a big deal for parents like this, because then you're able to go and talk about your frustrations, about your pains, you're able to celebrate with people who really understand what it means for your child to celebrate yet another birthday than people who do not understand. And there are groups out there. I belong to a number of them, like APDK. There is a Cerebral Palsy Society of Kenya. I am in another one called Tough Caregivers, and we encourage each other, we support each other when kids are sick and all that, and that is very helpful for parents who are out there, because it can really be tough. Working at Cure has been very helpful for me as a mother with a child living with cerebral palsy. For one, I get to get the mobility aids when I need them. When he outgrows the one that he has, it is easily replaced. The hospital supports me to get the drugs and the therapy that he needs. And I also get an opportunity to reach out to moms who come to the hospital with children living with CP when they come for corrective surgeries. And I know there are parents out there whose children were not as severely affected, and they got the surgeries that they needed, and their children can go to school, can learn small things that are going to be very beneficial for their daily upkeep. And I feel that is really very supportive for them, and it helps them to be able to take care of these kids.